All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to your weekly astrological weather. This is your place to get practical guidance for not only surviving the cosmic tides that we're in, but thriving with them. My name's Amanda Walsh. I'm the founder of Astrology Hub, and I am here with your favorite astrological weatherwoman, Predictive Astrologer, Anne Ortelee.
Hi.
And we're looking ahead at your week. A couple announcements before we dive in.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, we have extended the podcast review contest.
Oh, okay.
This Friday. Yeah. So if you still want to get your review in, you can until Friday. And we have gotten so many amazing reviews. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's going to be so much fun to choose our winners after next Friday. The prizes are a free month to the inner circle, a free mastery class, or a free report. So we have the character and destiny report and the year ahead report. And so we're going to be selecting winners. Make sure you put your name next to the review. And again, this is only for the podcast. So if you listen on iTunes or Spotify or Stitcher, wherever you listen, if you listen to the podcast, this is for you. And if you watch the videos on YouTube or the website or wherever, you can always hop over to wherever you listen to podcasts, find the Astrology Hub podcast, leave us a review, make sure you put your name so we can reach out to you if you are one of the winners of the prizes. Okay, that's super fun. Yeah, super fun. And so much love for you. I will share many with you. And then also on this Friday is our USA Pluto return premiere panel featuring Rick Levine, Divine Harmony, Adam Gainsbourg, Michael Bryan. That's who I didn't announce last week. Michael Bryan, he's official. And they're going to be doing short presentations on the USA Pluto return, which is happening next year. And then a little bit of debate and banter and, weighing in on what they think this moment is. It's a very pivotal, fated moment for the United States of America. And astrology has a lot of insights to offer us on what we're really being asked to do and what we're really being asked to grow into and what we're being asked to let go of and to really look at. There's a lot of different angles to this, and we will be going through it all. It's a 2-hour premiere panel event. You'll also get downloads and sheets and things with this event. So if you're interested in joining, go to astrologyhub.com/USA Pluto return.
Cool.
Okay. All right, Anne.
And how much is it?
It's $17.
Okay.
And the inner circle members have a discount. They have their 20% discount. So make sure you put your discount code in, inner circle members. Yeah. Okay. So Anne, what do we have? Yeah.
Well, we're in eclipse season. The eclipses are coming, Amanda. The eclipses are coming. Get excited. The eclipses are coming. So with the new moon that we had last week in Scorpio, opposite Uranus, separated by 7 minutes of arc, the energy of the eclipse season officially begins. So we have two. We're going to have a full moon in 2 weeks, and then we're going to have a new moon 2 weeks after that. And we know we're in eclipse season when the sun gets within 15 minutes of the node of fate. So it says, I'm next to the node of fate. I'm going to bring you things, or I'm going to take things away, or both, because eclipses are kind of fated portals. So we look at something and the portal goes, the door is open and we run through it and then it closes, or the door is open and something runs through into our life and then the door closes and we have it. So the new moon had a big finger of God in it. That's setting up. And a finger of God is also called a yod or a yod. And it's formed by 3 planets that don't like each other. In the sense that they're in different signs, they're in different elements, they don't really get along, they behave in certain ways. So the finger of God, and some astrologers don't use the nodes as a point, but I've studied Vedic astrology for 7 years, and they treat the nodes like planets. So there'll be some people it's not a yod, it's not a yod. But the north node is at 0 or 1 degree of Gemini. And so we had Mars go over it in Scorpio, and then we had Venus, who's been dancing over there in Sagittarius. And then she just slipped on Friday. She slipped into Capricorn, where she's going to be until March 6th. And then on Friday later, Mercury slipped into, he slipped from Libra into Scorpio. So they form an earth and water sextile. So first they were in air and fire, talking to the node, and then they moved into earth and water, talking to the node. So we've got this air and fire give us the vision, earth and water get the stuff done. And they're both talking to the node, and the eclipses, of course, are on the nodes. So we have this very intense energy pointing. And if you look at wherever 1 degree of Gemini is in your chart, that's where the apex of the finger is pointing and saying, go there, go there. And of course, the nodes are about to change. They've been in Gemini and Sag. They move backwards through the zodiac. They're about to change into Scorpio and Taurus, where they're going to spend 1.5 years. And so we have these last eclipses. We have one in Scorpio and Taurus. We have one in Sag. So we have this kind of invitation of the new energy, but a last release of the old. So the stories from last spring come up when we had the eclipses, because that story that opened in May, June closes now and goes, okay, you should have figured it out in the last 6 months. If you didn't, next. And you're done with it for 19 years. And then there's a new cycle that opens now, but it's on the North Node in Gemini, which is asking us the choices we want to make. Now, remember, Mercury spent like months in Libra, went into Libra in September, spent like the last fall giving us information, telling us stuff, saying, know about this, know about that. Did you know about this? Do you know about that? We had that big Mercury retrograde. We had all that stuff revealed. And now Mercury went into Scorpio and he goes, I got one more secret for you. And you go, what? So watch for the secret this week. Watch for the reveal this week. And is Venus still out of bounds, goes into Capricorn, she says, let's get real. Let's get real. And my favorite story about Venus and Capricorn, I think I've told it here. When we were in college, quarter carat diamond was the diamond size, 70s. My friend Reg, we were all in the dorm room. Reg goes, I told him I want a carat diamond. And we went, you told him you want a carat? And she goes, yes. And we were like, wow. Like, you told him that? She goes, yes. And I said to him, don't you think I'm worth it?
Oh.
And if he says yes, he has to get it for me. And if he says no, he's in trouble. That's my Venus and Capricorn energy.
What did he say?
They didn't get married. I guess she wasn't worth it. But she said it.
Wow.
And we were all like, ooh. So
yeah.
We're going to be looking at our worth and our value between now and March 6th, because Venus is going into Capricorn and she's going to spend November, December, January, and February in Capricorn. And she is going to dance with Pluto. She's going to dance with Mercury. She's going to dance with Mars. And more importantly, she's going to have a Sun-Venus conjunction star point and start a new 8-year cycle around love and money, around her value. So we want to, don't you think I'm worth it? You're going to find people using that. Don't you think I'm worth this? Don't you think I'm worth it? Because Venus in Capricorn is aware of her worth and she wants to make sure that you are too. So this energy of Venus moving into Capricorn, it's an exquisite Capricorn. It's exquisite Venus. You can line up 20 purses and she'll tell you the $5 copy from Chinatown and she'll know the $20,000 Birkin bag. And, she knows a Birkin and you go, $20,000 for a purse? And I remember saying that to one of my friends and she goes, I have a Birkin bag. I go, did you pay $20,000 for it? She goes, 18. And I'm like, $18,000 for a purse? She's like, uh-huh. I'm like, okay. Wow. It's what you value. Don't you think I'm worth it?
And does it have something to do also with quality?
Yes.
Like quality over quantity.
Yes.
My Capricorn mother would always say that, Amanda, it's quality over quantity.
Yes. Yes.
All the time. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
because it wants, my neighbor down the hall has a Venus in Capricorn. She's lovely. And she has an exquisite couch in her living room that's just beautiful. And when you walk in, you notice the couch. It's a stunner. It's got carved wood. It's green, kind of tucked in. It's got curvy arms. Very gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when it arrived and think, oh my God, that's really beautiful, Rosemary. And she was like, yeah, it is. And she has exquisite taste, and her house is graciously furnished. And it's probably the most beautiful couch I've ever seen.
Wow.
But it's also really unusual. It's got that exquisite quality, and it's this beautiful deep olive green with wood. I mean, I'm not doing it justice. I'll send you a picture of it, but
Yes,
but it's one of those, and then she has this china cupboard, right, with all the crystals and all the very fine quality, just exquisite stuff. And that's Venus in Capricorn. They're like, well, I'd rather have the best or nothing at all. And I'm willing to save. I'm willing to save rather than go and spend, buy 10 copies of something at TJ Maxx. No, I'm going to go to Bergdorf's. I'm going to go to Nordstrom's. I'm going to go higher. It's worth it to me to have that better quality.
Right. Well, and it's about endurance as well, right? Like she'll have that couch forever.
Forever.
Yeah. So it's that, investing in the things that have longevity and sustainability, and they're going to be around. Those are all Capricorn words, right?
All Capricorn words. Your Capricorn words, and apply them to Venus.
Right.
So she's got a real eye. She has a real, and it's classy. It's kind of Chanel. It's timeless.
Right.
Like it's the thing, the suit you bought that you can still wear. And often Capricorn Venuses keep things from when they were little. They got pearls, when they graduated from high school, they're still wearing them. They're wearing their grandmother's antique, whatever, because they value the old. They value the valued. They love that beauty. And so we're all going to have that honorarily. We're all going to be living Venus in Capricorn between now and March.
So how might that show up in our lives? I mean, is that going to mean that we're being asked to focus more on those similar kinds of things in our life? So instead of, any frivolous sort of spending, really being careful and making sure that what we're spending our money on is the things we actually value and that we want to have with us long term. Like, would that be the way that it's translated into our life over the next however many months? Would you say 6 months?
Yeah, till March 6th. Okay. Yeah, no, remember, because Venus is going to go over the point of the COVID clump. So we all got to sit home and think about what we wanted in our lives for a year and a half, or, we went through COVID and we got clear about what was of value to us. And now Venus comes and meets up with the sun and says, okay, so you said that was a value. Let's go do it. Because we're finishing that Uranus-Saturn square, which is what are the changes you need to make for the next 20 years. That's we've all been working on this year. That finalizes the last week in December. And then Venus is in Capricorn and she's retrograde. She goes retrograde for 40 days. Now, retrogrades, 40 days, Advent, Lent, Ramadan, those are all festivals of recognizing what's of value to you and looking at something and even saying, I'm willing to sacrifice to get what's of value to me. That's a value to me. I'm willing to delay gratification because Venus has a gratification component also. So she's like, I'm willing to wait. I want that diamond. I want a carat. I don't want a quarter carat. I'm willing to wait for that. Right? I'm willing to wait for what I want. And you look at where the COVID clump was hanging out in your chart. That's the area where Venus and the sun are going to meet up. And they're going to be in what's called a trine to the United States Neptune and to whatever you have at 18 Capricorn, because that's the degree they're meeting up at. And Venus and then sun then start a new 8-year cycle around love and money in your Capricorn house. But it's a personal cycle because Venus is going to be retrograde when she meets the sun. So that, there's two kinds of Venus sun conjunctions. One is called a superior conjunction, which is Venus is on the far side of the sun from Earth. The other was called an inferior, but I kind of like to rename it like I do interior. So it's an interior conjunction that says to us, what do you really want? Do you understand your value? Do you understand what you're worth? And then you go, I do. I understand what I'm worth. and I'm willing to wait for it, or I'm willing to work for it, or now that I know I'm worth that, now I'm going to do it. Right. And so you look at whatever house Capricorn's in, especially 18 degrees is where the conjunction's going to be. But while she's retrograde for 40 days, we all have an opportunity to reevaluate all our Venusian issues, our relationships, our relationship to love and money, our understanding of what our value is and our purpose on earth, because she's hanging out with Pluto 3 times. We know how much fun that's going to be. Bringing up the triangles and saying, okay, there's a triangle here. How are you going to use it? And then meeting up with the sun, which she does every 4 years. So if you think back 4 years to January time of 18 and January time of 14 and January time of 10, she had a conjunction then with the sun, and they started a money and love and value cycle. So it's big. And so as she enters this and she sextiles with Mercury and Scorpio goes, well, do the math, because Scorpio always wants you to look at your accounting. How are you accounting for this? And Venus goes, do the math. And Scorpio goes, yeah, we've been talking about that. I've been bringing you messages since September. You've been paying attention. And Venus is like, oh, stop, because normally they're friendly, and they are friendly. They're that little banter thing they do, but they're both talking to the North Node in Gemini as directing you. And Gemini says there's 2 options, there's 2 choices, there's 2 paths, but Mercury now is in Scorpio and it rules the Gemini North Node. So Mercury's going to say, but there's one path that's better for me, and I want to do that one. So it's a decision-making time. And so it's an important transition. And then the eclipses, as if we needed more excitement, bring things to light. And we also have Juno going into Capricorn, I think this week. I think I saw that. Hang on, let me just double check. Juno goes into Capricorn. Yep, she goes into Capricorn on November 14th. And Pallas Athena stations to go direct on November 8th at 9 Pisces. So Pallas has been revising our strategies, and now she's going direct and saying, oh, well, I have a now that I have that information, now I have a new strategy I want to take. You're going to see everybody revising their strategies, saying, I have a different approach. I've been thinking about it. You did this, I did this. I've been thinking about our relationship. I've been trying to figure out what's been going on. I figured some stuff out. And it's psychological because it's Mars and Mercury and Scorpio. And it's Venus in Capricorn saying, this is what my value is. It's big. It's big. The hard part is the eclipses are on the South Node.
Okay. And that's happening this week. Eclipses.
Well, the eclipses are coming. They're 2 weeks.
They're coming. Okay.
We're in orb of them. So this is the setup for the eclipses. The finger of God is this week, pointing things out.
Okay.
And then we have the full moon eclipse, which helps you see things because it's a full moon. And that one happens on, the full moon eclipse happens on the 19th, and that's at 27 Taurus. So that's also trine to Pluto, right? And then we have the new moon eclipse, the solar eclipse, which is on December 4th, and that's at 12 Sag. And so that one is on the South Node, and it says, let it go, let it go, let it go. But we see stuff. So the eclipse process this time is emotional. And then now that I've seen it, this is where I have to go. Okay. So the dialogue of Reg saying to her boyfriend, well, I want a carrot. Don't you think I'm worth it? And then South Node, sun on the South Node. He didn't think she was. She was okay with that. You don't think I'm worth it? Why should I marry you? I mean, it's that kind of dialogue. So you're going to see a lot of people going, it wasn't worth it to me, or I wanted to leave. You're going to hear, we always hear the stories reflected in the media.
So worth it. That those words, is it worth it? Am I worth it? Do you see my worth? Yeah. And what's Juno and Capricorn like?
Juno and Capricorn, remember, Juno is about partnership and relationship. So she wants to firm them up. And she says, I'd like to make a commitment with you. I want to be serious about our commitment. And we'll see what happens.
How long is she there?
2 months.
2 months. Okay.
I didn't look at her exit date, but yeah, okay. She's in there about 2 months.
Okay.
But she just, she's going to be traveling in this little pack, right? They're all like getting together in a little clump in the sky. So yeah, it's going to be fun because everybody's going to be going. Am I worth it? You know, I mean, there was something I just saw this morning on Yahoo. It isn't that we have an employee problem. We have an employer problem. They should pay us more. Don't you think I'm worth it? You know, we've got protests here in New York over the vaccine mandates. Don't you think I'm worth it? You know, so there's a lot of that energy up, and people are going to be feeling it. And if someone says it to you, good to respond. Whatever you say, they're going to take to heart. So this is one of those times, you know, when I'll have people calling and they'll be like, well, I'm going to ask for a raise. I go, okay. And then they ask for a raise and they get told they're good, but they're not that good. And they leave. Or they get told they're really good, but, you know, they're so good they can't get replaced. You know, too much to replace them. And then they leave. Or they get told, well, you're this good. And then they look and they go, do I really want to do that? You know?
Right.
So,
or they could be met with their question, right? They could be met with,
you are worth it. Usually when you have to ask on some level, you felt you haven't been seen. So if they go, oh, okay, you're right, you need a raise. Okay, I'll give you 25 cents. And they go, I want $5. You know, you know, it's an interesting conversation. So I had this when I was younger, actually in 2000, you know, back, it was a Sun Venus conjunction, and I was working at Pepsi, and I had half the country and the other guy had half the country, and he got an above target and I got an on target, and I am competitive. I will freely admit that. And I said, you know, like, why did he get an above target and I got an on target? He goes, well, he didn't take his, because we both did the job. I balanced to the penny. All my stuff was rolled out great. My boss goes, well, you know, he took his flex. You took your flex days and he didn't take them. I said, what? I said, well, you gave me the flex days.
Wow.
Goes, well, I know, but you took them. I'm like, why? Well, because back then it was Y2K and they were looking for IT people, right?
Right.
So I'm like, why wouldn't I take them? You know, like,
right.
It's 26 days of vacation. It's time, you know? Right. And he goes, well, you know, Mike didn't take his vacation days. And I'm like, all right. So he goes, and Mike worked till 11 o'clock at night. And you went home at 6. I said, I got my job done and I went home. I said, and Mike is cheap. Sorry, Mike, if you're listening. I don't think he's listening. Mike is cheap. And he gets, if he stays past 6, Pepsi buys him dinner. Oh, so he would order dinner and bring the dinner home to the family.
Oh my God.
Right. And he goes, well, he still worked till 11. I'm like, yeah. And got free food. I mean, so and he didn't do his job efficiently.
And did you leave?
Well, no. So what Kevin said, I said, well, how much is the raise? And he goes, 1%. What's the difference? I said, what's the difference between on target and above target? He goes, 1%. I said, okay, so 23 days of off and staying till 11 o'clock at night every night, and you're going to give me 1%? Thanks. I got it. Not worth the trade. Not worth the trade. I'd rather have the 26 days of vacation time, because you could work 9 days and take the 10th day off. But I was very clear, you know, it got me because we had that conversation about value, you know, and so it's important. That's the conversation people are going to be having between now and March. What's my value? Do you value me? How do you love me? Or value. Venus is in Capricorn. She's a little more, it doesn't mean you don't love me, but you just don't value me, because she can appreciate she's loved, but she also recognizes I'm being valued in a different way than perhaps I want to be.
Right? So the questions we're asking ourselves are also around that. Like, we're exploring potentially where we don't feel valued and how we can approach those gaps. And okay.
And also looking at things and trying to figure out the value, you know. So like, I bought the place in Florida, so I have to get a car. So I've been doing all this value price, you know, car. Do I just buy the thing? Do I lease it? What kind of car am I going to, I'm a buy and hold girl. So I'm probably going to buy it. And I want a car that lasts a while. Venus in Capricorn. And I was like, oh, I'm doing this. I'm working this energy really well. I keep asking the guy questions and he's like, I don't know the answer to that. Let me check with my manager. I'm like, okay. Because I'm like, all right, well, if I want my thing, what's the insurance rate? Like it's just a whole bunch of value questions, right? So we all are looking at our value and we're going to be hearing it from other people where they're not feeling valued or where they want to be valued in a different way than they have been. It makes for a really interesting, holiday season.
Yeah, exactly. Geez. Could we also be asking the question of how could I add more value?
Yes.
So if you're getting you think your value is this, but here's how it would actually be more valuable to me.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so
it's understanding it's a dialogue, but it is Capricorn. So the whole thing with Venus in Capricorn is she answers to Saturn. She gets crystal clear. Yeah. I remember looking at Kevin and saying 1% and you want me to give up all this. I said, that's totally not worth it.
Not worth it.
And he kind of looked at me like he'd never thought of it that way.
Right. Exactly.
But I did the math in my head and I'm like, 26 days of vacation in addition to the 2 weeks you give me?
Right.
No brainer, baby.
It's a bad trade.
Yeah. Bad trade, bad deal. Yeah. And so people are going to be working out how they want to do stuff, and why they want to do it. Yeah.
What's the theme for the week?
The theme for the week is I never thought of it that way before. Now that you've told me that, now I think of it this way. Or, boy, that's an interesting way of thinking of it. Now that I know that's what you're doing, now I'm going to take a different approach. Because remember, there's this little adjusting energy. Yeah. Because remember, it's a dance for two, right? Right. Fingers of God are actually a dance for three. So they have this little dialogue thing they do. And they go, so why didn't you ask me? Well, I didn't know you'd want to go. Oh, but you didn't ask. You're right. Did you want to go? That kind of thing. It's a really interesting energy. And it also is going to remember everybody's been digging around in their stuff. It's going to bring up all the psychological issues because Scorpio is the house that we have Scorpio ruling is where we have the psychological issues in this lifetime. From this lifetime about our value and our worth to other people. So when you look at your Scorpio house, we got Sun going through there. We got Mercury going through there. We've got Mars going through there. So those three guys are all stirring up the mud. My mother used to call it Esther. You're being a little Esther. Keep it clean for the younger ears in the audience. And you'd be like, oh, really? Yeah, you like to stir the... Yeah. And so there's a little of that energy too. Like it's got a provocativeness to it. So it's good. I mean, it helps us get clear on what we want and where we're going.
Right. Okay.
And Scorpio is the sign of accounting. And it's, we literally understand our value. We calculate our taxes and we figure out how much we have to pay our silent business partner, the government. And we go forward from there because it's an accounting energy. Right. It's what are you worth? What's your value? I mean, accountants are often Scorpios. It also is the mob. They take a little piece of the action, kind of like the government does with the taxes, but they understand your value. They go, well, you made that much, so you should be able to do this. Right? So it's an interesting, and you may actually watch people go, oh, you have a lot. I want some of what you have. And you kind of go, oh, you figured out I have a lot, do you? and then you watch them figure out like, okay, how do I work this? Because it's very strategic. I remember one time I gave my godson and his brother, $20 bills in little envelopes, right? So I bought those little red feng shui envelopes and I wrapped them in it. So I had, I had 4 5s. And they opened the first one and then they knew the envelopes had money. So they went searching and the other one got it. And then the other one went, oh yeah, you got it. Okay. And then they opened that next. And then they looked again and they had another one, so it's that energy too, like, ooh, stuff in here. Right. So it's got a positive frame too, because, oh, that looks interesting. That could really work for me. Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned the final eclipse on the Sagittarius Gemini node, right?
Mm-hmm,
So we've been in this Gemini Sagittarius nodal axis for what? How long do they?
Year and a half.
Year and a half. Okay. And so we have the final eclipse coming up. What do you think? I know you had us look at last spring for that, but what do you think those final like reminders or messages are for us as we're shifting into a new nodal axis, which will be Taurus Scorpio, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think those final messages are?
Sagittarius is what's freedom, what's your passion, what inspires you, what doesn't inspire you anymore, because it is the South Node. So you used to be inspired by this and now you're not. So this is a lot of times where people go, well, I got it, but it doesn't really work for me anymore, or it isn't really inspiring me anymore. So I have to go because it's on the South Node. Or I want to bring in this other thing because it's on the South Node. So I've been doing that, and I'm going to, that's fine, but I'm going to bring in something else, because when it comes in on the South Node, it fuels the North Node in Gemini, and then now moving into Taurus, which is what's the value, because the nodes go backwards. So the South Node in Sag is I'm releasing this last little bit because I'm psychologically free from it now. I understand what inspired me or what made me feel like I had to run. And now I'm willing to be fixed water and make a commitment. So it's a big one for getting married, or a big one for saying, is this relationship going anywhere? And then you go, yes, no, maybe. And then you either commit or you don't.
And what's the time frame for this? Commit or don't?
6 months.
6 months. Okay. And it's
the eclipses before that last square. So we have the eclipse. Are we going to commit or not? Christmas comes, I don't get a ring. Okay, we're done. Because Venus is retrograde. So then she's going to go, so what, you don't think I'm valuable? And well, a little conversation, and then off we roll. Because Saturn's going into Aquarius, and he's saying, is it finished? Because Capricorn builds, Aquarius breaks apart. So it fragments the story. So if we're not consolidating, then we're leaving.
Okay. And how about the intensity scale?
This week, not bad. Next week's pretty bad. Yeah.
Okay.
Next week's, well, what it is this week is there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. You can feel it underneath, but you don't know what it is. There's all these little backroom deals. If you saw Hamilton, it's in the room where it happened. And then also underneath is, well, I don't know that you're valuable enough and you're good enough to do it. You might be, you might not be. So it's kind of like Rocky's theme song. So either we get inspired to do it and we start exercising and running up the stairs and going, I can do it. I want this. It's important to me. Or we go, 26 days off of freedom versus a 1% rate. That's a no-brainer. It understands, it helps you understand what your choices are, I guess the best way to say it. So when the sun hits that South Node, it says, I'm done. It was fun. I'm done. I had a great time, but I'm going to go do something else now.
So this week is background noise, sort of psychological underpinnings of these, these inquiries, this self-evaluation, evaluation of the people in our lives. And then the week after is where things either break apart or or you get inspired to come together and like make it even more solid.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
You get the carrot diamond ring, and then you go,
I'm worth it.
I should have asked for 2 carrots. I can remember one time my friend who was a lawyer gave me negotiating techniques to negotiate a salary. I was very proud of myself because I got a $20 an hour raise, right? Or I think it was $20 a week. It wasn't an hour, it was a week. And I came home, he said, oh, you could have gotten more. Well, I mean, he could have gotten more. I really worked hard to get the $20 extra for the week. But it was, and my boss was like, we're never doing this again. I'm like, you hired that guy and you paid him more than me? We're definitely doing it. And he goes to me, he's a priest, Ann. He left the church. He got a woman pregnant and he left the church. Do you think his prayers work for her? They don't work. Don't even think he's going to get you into heaven because he's a fallen priest. Come on, stop it. I want my $20 extra. We had like a good 2-hour run.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I found out he left, but Charlie hired him because he made more money. He wanted a priest praying for him. I'm like, that guy's prayers aren't listened to. It's Catholic talking to Catholic. It's just
right.
But yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So the theme for the week, I never thought of it that way, or that's an interesting way of thinking about it. So new ways of seeing existing situations in your life.
New ways of looking at the strategy of it. It's got a little bit of a disillusionment to it, Amanda, because the planets are kind of like, is that really how it is? And then you go, yeah. And then they go, well, I'm a little disillusioned. And you're like, well, better you know than you don't know. Right. Yeah. And that's, you have to kind of think of it, better you know than you don't know. And then the next part is, and so what do you want to do about it, if anything? And you might not. You might be like, no, I'm good, but I wish I didn't know. But because the energies are, you're finding out stuff that you either have to adjust to or you adjust away from, and both are fine options. And both are and you can do both. You can do it in multiple areas of your life. Right. You can adjust towards with one situation and away from with another, because other people are going through this too. Right. So they're going to be adjusting towards or for.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to be a time of bringing you things, but also taking things away. Because we're in the eclipse portal, this is a time of change. And this is destiny points too, because of the finger of God, or the yod, right?
And faded changes. They feel faded. At the time they happen, you go, wow, that's never going back.
Right. Okay, we have one more secret. And one more,
maybe more than one. There's secrets working under the woodwork. It's kind of like, they have the open relationship. We have this, but then we have this little secret relationship. It's kind of like when someone in your office is having an affair and everybody knows. Well, those two are having the pillow talk, but they're not out as a relationship, but everybody knows about it. So that you recognize it's there, but you don't actually know what's going on. But there's a communication portal there.
Right. Okay. Yeah. We have Venus still out of bounds. And so this is, let's get real. Like this is a time of let's get real. We're looking at our worth, our value. This is a time to do what you value, spend on what you value, and invest in things that have longevity.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We also have delaying gratification. So what are the things that you're willing to sacrifice for? And I know I've said this on the podcast before, but I love the definition of sacrifice as to make sacred. So what are you making sacred and willing to sort of delay certain gratification on certain things in order to really make that thing sacred? And what Venus in Capricorn, put your money where your mouth is, and really just, okay, this is what I value and I'm willing to do what it takes. I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to do what it takes. Do you understand what you're worth? So I can see lots of self-inquiry around your own self-worth, your value. Like what are you worth? What do you contribute? Where do you still feel unworthy of certain things? And how is that reflecting in your external environment? Your own sense of unworthiness and lack of value, which I think that might be a collective thing that most of us carry somewhere of like, well, am I really worth it? What am I really contributing? What is really my value here? So exploring those psychological things within yourself so that the external environment can really mirror the true value that you have.
Yeah. And remember, Mercury's in Scorpio and Mars is there, and they both worked with Venus. So they both talked to her about what they thought the value proposition was. And then Venus, she's out of bounds. So she may have a bigger vision of what she thinks her value is, but that's okay. But she also is aware of, people always told me I should ba 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 ba, but I knew I wanted to ba 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 ba. And so there's a clearing of that energy because I understand where my inhibitions where my psychological limitations were, because the sun and Mars and Mercury are going through the house of the psychological limitations. And they're helping me make an accounting of what is of value to me and why, right? Because it gives us more understanding of our worth.
Okay.
It's a big one,
It's
but
a big
it's not, it doesn't have to be mean, doesn't have to be hard.
Right.
And it also is, a lot of times, I married you or I partnered with you at this time and I didn't realize my value, but now that I realize it, I'm going to do this.
Right.
And so it doesn't have to be mean or harsh, but it is that used to be a value to me, but now it's not anymore. So there's a thing in astrology when your chart progresses and changes into a new sign. And for whatever reason, this week I've been having a lot of people progressing out of Cancer into Leo. So they're going out of caretaking mode into freedom mode, or they did it. And we're talking about it. And they're like, I don't want to cook anymore. I'm like, no, you're done cooking. You're done taking care of people. You want to be the queen or the king. And they're like, yeah. And it was, and I remember when my aunt did it, and she was a great cook, but she just decided she was done. She wasn't cook anymore. She could go out to eat, be served. And they moved to Florida. There were early bird specials, $4 you get food. She was done cooking. And it was that shift. But before that, that had been something she really valued and was really good at. So it also can be you willingly giving up something that you're really good at, but you don't want to do it anymore.
Well, and giving yourself permission to have that conversation. I'm sure if her husband or family was used to her doing all these home cooked meals, it can be a hard thing to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. Like, this isn't, I used to love this. I don't love it anymore. I'd rather we do this. But like you said, it can be done in a way that it's not like, it doesn't have to be aggressive. I feel like the only times where we feel like we have to get aggressive around it is when sometimes there's an overcompensation of like, it's been building up in you for so long that then it just like explodes out, which, I mean, sometimes it needs to do that too. But if we just acknowledge, oh, wow, like I've been wanting to make this shift for a long time and I haven't spoken up and I haven't really, but I'm going to now. And I can do it in a way that's like, hey, look, I don't want to do this anymore, but I'm willing to do this. Like this is how it would work for me. Then I can see it doesn't have to be this huge. Is she still with her family? I mean, did they all?
Oh yeah. What happened was okay. Everybody learns to cook.
Yeah. Right? Oh, there you go. Yes, that's great.
So she shifted. They were teenagers.
Yeah.
Everybody shifted responsibility.
Yeah. It is interesting with the kids because you get used to being in a certain role. But even my daughters, 13 and 10, I'm saying more now. Look, you can do these things, and you need to learn how to do these things. I don't need to wait on you for the rest of your life. Like, that's not what I'm here to do. When you were little and you couldn't do it, that's one thing, but now you can. So yeah, I mean, just adjusting with the energy as it changes within you, as it changes with the people around you. Okay, awesome. So this is a decision-making time. We have, again, this committing or breaking apart. We have revising strategies. So different approaches, getting clear on what you want and how you value, but then also revising the strategy around how you're doing that.
Right.
So, but I think that you said that we would actually be having those kinds of conversations, not this week, but next week. Is that correct?
We're getting the information this week and we're figuring it out and we're moving towards it. Remember, the node is still in Gemini.
Right.
So we have a preference, right? Yeah. But we're out of the dithering Libra, this or that, this or that, this or that. It's gone into Scorpio. So now it kind of knows what it wants more, but there still can be a couple options.
Okay. Cool.
Because the node's in Gemini. So it goes, well, you could do it this way or this way. So I've decided what kind of car I'm going to buy, but now do I buy or do I lease? How much do I put down? There's another level. Right.
Yes. Okay. So, and that's the next point that you made, getting clear, accounting, a lot of accounting things, counting, divvying, putting things in buckets, making sure things are clean and clear. There's in this final nodal moments of the Gemini Sagittarius axis, we have this question of what is freedom?
Yes. Where
do I get my freedom from? How much do I influence my own sense of freedom? So these questions around that. Okay. And then we have, this background noise. Potentially you might feel like undercurrents, but you don't know exactly what it is. And you're either going to get to a point where you're inspired to do it, you're inspired to step up to whatever it is, or
Rocky theme music plays.
Yeah, exactly. You get your gloves out and you're training and you're running up those steps, or you're like, not worth it.
Bye-bye. Good enough. Gonna go. Not worth it.
Yes.
Gonna wash that man right out of my hair. Bad hair day, right? Yeah.
You sing it. Sing it. Come on.
Gonna wash that man right out of my hair. We're gonna wash that man right out of my hair and send him on his way.
Woohoo!
Or wash that situation right out of my life and send it on its way. Yeah.
I love your voice. That person who said that to you was like, Hey,
right? It was my boss.
Your boss,
authority figure. I mean, I still sing. I just,
Well, now you just sing in front of thousands of people. So
I sing with acapella with no music, and I can't see if they're applauding or they're going, "Oh my God, that's adorable."
They're applauding. They're applauding. They always do. That's why I'm asking for you to do it more. Yeah. Okay, and thank you.
You're rehabilitating my damaged Venus. It was told she didn't know how to sing. So rehabilitation always good. Yeah, it's good.
Yes, good, awesome. All right. Well, maybe we'll see you on Broadway.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of our community. Make sure if you're listening on the podcast or if you want to review the show on the podcast to go on over, leave your review, leave your name, and we will be choosing winners this Friday and then next week.
Yeah.
Yay. And then also if you're interested in joining the USA Pluto Fate, it's
Fate of the USA. Sign up at Astrology Hub /Pluto, USA Pluto Return.
Yes, astrologyhub.com/USA Pluto Return. It's Pluto and the fate of the USA. So we're going to be having some really interesting conversations about that. I know we'll be talking about that on this show with Anne a lot because it's definitely
that's next year's big aspect. Yeah,
huge deal. So awesome, everybody. Thank you. Have a beautiful week, Anne. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Have a wonderful week too. The bird didn't sing. She has a bird in the background there. I'm like, leave him on because he was really noisy at the beginning and then he got quiet.
Yeah,
so.
I think she likes your voice, and she likes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her name's Cream.
She was greeting me when I arrived, huh?
Yeah. She had a little lovebird friend named Peaches who has flown off, and I think found another lovebird friend.
Another girl.
Yes,
well, a love triangle there, huh?
Yes, exactly. There's a triangle for sure. And Cream she goes and then she always comes back. So she's here. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for being a part of our community, and thank you as always for making astrology a part of your life. We'll catch you next episode.